Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed Amin Haju. I recently completed a Sub 1 of the CS internship and today I'm excited to share a summary of what I've learned so far. This phase has been enriching experience, allowing me to develop key skills and gain valuable insights into web development. I'll walk you through the main concepts I've explored and how this knowledge prepares me for the next steps. Let's get started. These are the main concepts: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Git and GitHub. If you think of a website as a human and a human body, HTML would be the skeleton, the structure that holds everything in place, just plain skeleton. CSS would be clothing and style, the colors, shapes, and layout that make the body look good. And JavaScript would be the muscles and brain, enabling movement, interaction, and behavior. These are for the coding parts. And how about Git and GitHub? How can we explain that for a human? Git is the body's memory, the memories of a human. It tracks every change and lets you go back or try new things safely. For example, you have a project, you update that project multiple times and you want to access the previous versions. Git makes this easier. GitHub is a collaboration space where others can view, suggest, and contribute to those changes. For example, a workspace. With your coworkers, you can work on the same project at the same time together. You can use text editors to write the codes and use browser to see the results. My favorite is VS Code and Google Chrome. I highly recommend using VS Code because it's very easy and simple. It has a lot of extensions to work with. For example, it has built-in Code GPT. It has tons of them. Like I use Live Server. Um, it has a lot of built-in things. All of your HTML code should end with HTML file extension. For example, here I make how to make an HTML file, a text document, and I write it index.html. Yes, and it's just an HTML code, an empty one. And for CSS, it's CSS file extension and JS for JavaScript. So I want to talk about tags in HTML. There are two types of tags: how to show elements, how to make elements. Uh, they are closing tags, like a paragraph, paragraph. This is how we end it, and we write the content inside of it. For example, this is a paragraph. We have self-closing tags without needing a closing part, like image, brick, HR inputs, meta link. I want to explain some of these tags, like image inserts an image. It doesn't have content inside, just attributes like source and alt. Brick line is inserts a brick line similar to hitting enter in text editor. HR creates a horizontal line used to separate contents. Input creates input fields in forms like text boxes, checkboxes, or buttons. Meta provides metadata. Links external resources. P is for paragraph. H1, H2, H3 to H6 is for different sizes of headings. Div, it defines a container or division used to group elements. A is for hyperlinks, UL is for lists, and LI is for list items. Attributes in HTML. This is how an HTML element works. Tag name, the attribute contains name and value. For example, this is the tag of image. We have source attributes, and the value is apple.png. That's what we see if we have this file in our workspace. We have some of the attributes like source, alt, reference, ID, and classes and type. The ID is a unique attribute, but class can be applied to multiple elements on the same page. For example, here it's an HTML code I wrote for my calculator. I used classes here for button and dark. As you can see, some of these elements have only one class button, some of them has class dark. Why? Because I want to separate those and apply CSS styling. Some of these buttons are darker than the others. You use ID to be a unique attribute and manipulate that on JavaScript. By far, this is how an element should look like on HTML. This is a starting tag, this is an end tag, the content goes inside of them, and this is attribute and value. And here's a simple structure for HTML. As you can see, you can write this code manually, but you can also insert it by typing these conjugations and pressing tab on an empty HTML page in VS Code. The doc type HTML. Doc type HTML declares the document type and version of HTML, which is HTML5 in this case. HTML and language attribute. The HTML tags is necessary for the HTML tag head and body are necessary for this structure, where we put our elements inside of them. The head is the root element of the HTML document. The language specifies the language in English. Head contains meta information about the document, like the title, the icon, the styles, viewports. Meta charset UTF-8 sets the character encoding to UTF-8, which supports most characters from all languages. And the meta name viewport containing with device with initial scale 1 ensures the page displays correctly on all devices by setting the viewport size. And the title document is for the title at the top of the page, like Windows 10 calculator. This is the title. And the body. This is where contains the visible content of the page. And here's how to write a CSS styling code. We put the selector, we open a bracelet, and put a property, which is color, and the value, which is red. If you use a colon and semicolon for separating the property and value, and each property and value from another. Like here is the color red takes align center. There are two values. There are multiple types of selectors in CSS. Element selector like H2, P, or div image. Universal selector, which selects all of elements. ID selector with a hashtag at the start of it, which here ID and classes. You can select only one element with one ID here, but with the class selector, you can apply a CSS style to multiple elements on the page, as I showed you here. You can also use CSS to make animations, which makes it more fancy and interactive for the user. It will be more interesting. There are three ways of adding CSS to HTML. Inline CSS, which with the style attribute, the style element, internal CSS, which we insert it inside of the head, and external CSS, where we link a CSS file to our HTML file. And about JavaScript. There are some usages of JavaScript. The client side, the front end, interactive websites, animation, pop-ups, dynamic effects like mobile apps and web. Server side, the backend side like Node.js applications, backend processing, secure payments, and the user authentication. Beyond the web, like development, AI, and machine learning. By using JavaScript in your page, you can change HTML content, values, and styles. For example, I can change the color, the size, interact with user actions. For example, buttons, forms, clicks, keypresses. Like what happens if I click this button? What happens if I click a button? And manipulate page structure, which is called DOM manipulation. Example, removing and adding, showing, hiding elements in the page, controlling timing and animations, communicating with server, storing and using the data. Git. Git is a version control system that lets you manage and save changes to code over time. You can also branch off to try new ideas without affecting your main work. Once you're happy with changes, you can merge them back in. These are some of the commands like git init starts a Git repository. For GitHub. When working with others, Git connects to platforms like GitHub, where everyone can push or upload or pull or download code updates. This helps teams work together without overwriting each other's work. For example, I publish my calculator on GitHub. You can go here and see the codes. You can pull and download them, clone the repository, and etc. Here are the codes. And I will show some examples. Here in VS Code, I open a folder of a code which I already wrote. My website, select folder. And there are three files in the folder: an HTML file, a CSS file, and the JavaScript file, which I'll rename it right now. As you can see, if we run this code, we see a web page. This is plain HTML without any CSS properties or JavaScript functions. In the head, I set the title. I set the icon of the page, which is a dice, and in the body you can divide it in three sections: header, main, and footer.